In the year 1910, our carbon dioxide emission was roughly about 500 teragrams. Since then, it has grown at least to over 30,000 teragrams of carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. That means that either A, we're using more carbon dioxide, or B, there's more of us on this planet. Well, it's a combination of both. Scientists have been tracking down just how much carbon dioxide we're emitting into our atmosphere and just how bad it's gotten. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, and it creates a greenhouse effect, which basically it traps sunlight that hits the earth, and when it reflects off the earth, instead of leaving our atmosphere, it gets caught in the carbon dioxide gas that's in our atmosphere, making this earth warmer and much hotter than it normally would be. Class, today I'm going to convince you to try and reduce your carbon footprint so that drastic changes to the climate don't create irreversible damage to our environment. The first main point, or the first step to reducing your carbon footprint is all in the way you drive. When you drive, you should be driving slow, you should be driving patient, you shouldn't be accelerating too quickly or decelerating too hard, because acceleration is just as big as a carbon dioxide emitter than it is going fast. Transportation accounts for 30% of all carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere. It is dangerous, and it's only getting worse. If you drive slower, it'll save you money, because by driving over the speed limit, by driving faster, you burn through your gas much quicker than if you would be driving at the speed limit. 50 miles per hour is the optimum speed that you want to be driving at. Otherwise, your gas mileage decreases exponentially. It decreases much faster than if you were driving at the speed limit or slightly under. Accelerating quickly also causes you to burn through your gas much quicker than if you were to accelerate slowly and calmly. So if you were just to take your time and drive a lot slower than normal and not accelerate as quickly, not only would you be saving money, but you would be reducing your carbon footprint. Your carbon footprint is how much carbon dioxide gas you emit into the atmosphere per person. Just by driving a lot slower, you could be saving a lot of carbon dioxide that's going into our atmosphere. The second reason why you should be trying to reduce your carbon footprint is because our environment is drastically changing, and it's being damaged to a point where it cannot be reversed. The polar ice caps are melting, and once they start melting past the tipping point, they won't be able to freeze back. Even if we did try and stop the carbon dioxide gas from entering our atmosphere, it wouldn't matter anymore, because all our oceans, or all our frozen oceans, would be melted, and there would be no way to freeze them up again, which means that the sea level would be rising at a very dangerous rate. Some cities might even be underwater, and scientists predict that they would be underwater in 50 to 100 years. The Environmental Protection Agency, they've stated that although some people are still skeptical that global warming exists, it does really exist. And now at this point, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's just, what are we going to do about it? Because if we don't do something now, then things are gonna get so bad, not just for you, but for everyone around you and all the species on this earth, not just humans. So today I've talked to you about 2 big reasons why you should reduce your carbon footprint, which are, it'll save you money and it'll help the earth. So now it's up to you to stop creating so much carbon dioxide. Thank you.
Yeah, see, I smile.
That's a good nervous tick, though. You have a good nervous tick, Taylor, when you do smile, which isn't a bad thing.
All right, Frank, you've got a statistic to get us started with as your attention device. You ought to tell us what a teragram is and how it's measured, if that's the standard that you're going to use. It certainly sounds like a substantial increase in the number of teragrams. At what level does the amount of teragrams influence the environment and the way that you're talking about? That would be useful. So if somebody's got that data, that should be in the speech. Your goal is clearly stated, so I thought that that was fine, but I didn't really hear an explicit preview of what the supporting structure was going to be. You did signpost the secondary points during the presentation, so your internal labelings are okay. The subject matter, I think, is fine. You do need to build the argument a little bit more. The idea that gases from cars are a substantial part of this needs to be quantified. You just kind of take it as a presupposition that it's important. The idea that human actions would be able to change any of this in time, I think that needs to be developed a lot more. The position that says we got to do something about it makes it sound like we can do something that would change the outcome, and I didn't hear any information that suggested that that's possible. All I heard was in 50 to 100 years, the oceans are going to rise, the polar ice caps are going to melt, and we're all screwed. Well, the idea that we're going to be able to change this by changing our driving habits seems like an awfully big leap to be making. So I think you're going to have to advocate something stronger if that's going to be the problem that you're talking about. Not that the individual actions aren't worth taking. I think that there are some ways that you can maybe generate that a little bit more, but you ought to tell us why making those individual actions are important instead of talking about the catastrophe that's going to happen that we may or may not be able to prevent. On presentation, I thought you projected your voice pretty well. Your eye contact is problematic. Sometimes it looks like you're delivering your speech to the inside of your eyelids. That's the smart-ass comment that I made. Sorry about that. You're kind of closing your eyes trying to think of the next thing that you're going to say. And I can see that you're thinking, what is it I'm talking about? But it just really is a little bit odd that that's the way that you're handling that. All right. Thank you.